Hello, citizens of the world. Today, we talk about preventing natural disasters around the world. Is it possible, or we could never intervene in nature's call? Partially, the invention of disaster is at our hands, technically speaking. For many reasons such as global warming and majority of the consensus of things that happen in our time had progressed as well as increased the possibility of greater disaster happening as years goes by, proven especially uh, much more dangerous stage in our time, recent 2 years. Within our time frame, we can see there's a huge increase of uh, very disastrous outcome throughout the world, and it has been plaguing each country as everyone tries to figure out the possibility of preventing a large disaster from happening. Besides world organization talking about such topic uh, in terms of trying to add more resource, slow down fossil fuel consumption, as well as trying to sign for a greener pact. Is all this stuff possible, or is it just to slow down the inevitable? No doubt, many will believe that the end days are coming, and you would have a portion of people who would like things to go naturally. So, technically speaking, you will have opposition as well as people who do not believe that we would end up in such situation. The truth is, based on how virus such as COVID had already projected in our society, natural disaster will be the next thing to plague us as well. And in that time, more and more disastrous outcome will cause much higher damage to our world, as well as the much more inevitable disaster that had proven to be coming soon, which is within maybe around the 2 to 3 years that will come in our time. We will see record-breaking disaster that is going to happen, which we had no actual control of. In that sense of saying, there are many ideas out there who would try to tackle this issue with not much of any success, to be honest, but no doubt there are none other than less ideas that potentially could help someone to realize a way or new idea to at least ease our situation, or maybe even find a solution, temporary solution to our current situation. Now, the first thing when we talk about disaster, we think about uh, the ice melting in above the North Pole and the South Pole. Then water is rising, as well as more earthquakes and global disaster is happening. I have always had this idea of potentially maybe freezing the North and the South Pole artificially. Is this possible? It's kind of hard to say, but I presume it is not impossible, since that we already have to a smaller scale technology who could sort of do such things. It's just that at a larger scale of like trying to freeze water at the size of almost a few states, or the size of an island, is pretty much not really cost effective, I believe. But would freezing the North and South Pole help the potential disaster that might loom in our current time? This is fairly hard to say, as I have not really heard much of the experts' response in terms of the kind of possibility, as well as how effective will it be if we are able to hold the North and South reserves for a period of time. Is it going to help in terms of assisting us reducing rainwater? That could be an implication, as if we accidentally froze more water than we are supposed to, then the next few years you will have drought. So the implications of all the stuff that could potentially happen is a very wide topic and requires a lot of people that is much more into environmental to explain the potential impact of meddling with such technology to try to save the world from natural disasters. But none other than less, it's a quick thought, as I have noticed that right now the disaster seems to favor more towards having larger tornadoes, higher winds, as well as more flood disaster that is happening across everywhere around the world. And some of the country is losing their land and potentially might be losing a huge chunk of land, which will end up to become a much smaller country. So far, I am not very sure if the North Pole is entirely melt into water. How much more would flood cover the land? As in, if the whole world are covered by water, surely there would still be a small pocket of islands that is high enough to avoid such disaster. But the truth is, it could potentially cover the majority of the land that we have right now, and we might force to dig some areas deeper down into the earth crust, while using the remaining resource to stack and build on top of the land that is highest in its peak. So this is a question of time, as if we do not have any more new solution, or if we do not do anything to allow such thing to happen, it will. And the potential impact of such disaster would not be something we could fix in a day, weeks, or even years. It might take a few decades or a few centuries to even recover from such disaster. So none other than less having the potential possibility of ideas on how to prevent such natural disaster, or at least prepare ourselves to move forward in terms of growing beyond Earth as a real possibility to survive within as a species lays in our hand. So I do really hope someone out there already had those brilliant ideas to save the world, I guess, but in that sense it's more like trying to assure that our future can continue to live, if it's not on Earth, at least somewhere else. While technology might be fast enough to create us the possibility of a safe port or a spaceship to leave this Earth and live somewhere else or within the ship, I would still hope that we can stay in our old planet and keep the planet safe. That's all for today's speech. I hope everyone stay creative and innovative. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.